Hey everybody, this is Dan with Pain Free You. Today's topic is going to be kind of a combination of the conditioned response and the nocebo. So what am I talking about there? Conditioned response is saying it hurts every time I sit down, or it hurts every time I walk, or it hurts, I can walk but I can't run, or I can run but I can't walk. Any number of things, you know? Like whatever you believe will hurt usually ends up happening, whether there be a physical cause or not. And as we know from all this work that we're doing, there is not a physical cause that creates this pain when we sit down, for example. The nocebo is the belief that something is bad for you, which is the opposite of the placebo. The placebo is taking something inert, doesn't have any, healing properties, but believing it will heal us. So a sugar pill, when you believe it's a narcotic, getting that narcotic response from a sugar pill is called the placebo. And why does that happen? Dr. Bruce Lipton and Dr. Joe Dispenza say that our body's unbelievable, and we actually have a built-in pharmacy. We can create almost any chemical combination we need. So the placebo is really interesting because when you take a pill like a sugar pill or just a tablet with nothing in it, but you truly believe it will have a narcotic effect, our brain and body chemistry goes to work and actually creates the same effect that the medicine would have had. So that's really bizarre. So if in fact the brain is powerful enough to act in a placebo way and actually provide a real benefit to something that had no real effect on us in any way, shape, or form, it's also possible that it can create pain just simply by the expectation of that, right? That's what's called the conditioned response. That is what's called nocebo. That's what Dr. Sarno called it, and many of the other experts out there have really referred to it as the nocebo or the conditioned response. It's all the same thing. So how does this happen? How does this get created? Well, we have our first instance of pain or other symptoms, and our first experience with that's fairly traumatic emotionally and scary and a lot of fear there. So we realize, like, wow, early on, I used to say I pulled my back out, right? I know now that that's not what happened. I just had an acute onset of TMS, right? I didn't injure my back bending over to put on my underwear. And I will talk about injuries in another video soon, maybe right after this one. So how does this conditioned response happen? Well, let's say you start out with a muscle spasm and it really hurts, and then a few days later it's really hurting, you can barely move, and when you sit down it's really, really hurting. What happens there? We develop a fear of sitting down. Well, I can lay down flat on my back, so that's okay, right? But sitting, that's not okay. Okay, that doesn't mean your structure is in such a way that, sitting is bad for you or hurting your physical structure to the point where it's causing pain. It just happened to be the first experience you had with this dramatic pain, and then you said, well, I can lay on my back but I can't sit, because that's what you experienced first. And the more you do that, the more you sit down and say, yep, that hurts, I better lay flat on my back. I mean, I spent years with a big percentage of my time flat on my back, knees up, flat on my back. Maybe I'd stick a pillow under my head, and sometimes I'd lay and then turn my head sideways so I could watch a TV or do something. And so my conditioned response happened as a result of that. And yeah, sitting for a while, my conditioned response was when I get up, oh boy, that's going to hurt. Why? Because I experienced that and it had an emotional charge when I experienced it, and therefore I expected getting up is really difficult, and therefore it's going to be a big, big problem. So, how did I start to break the conditioned response? It's a technique that I used called I'm good. And it's simple, it's stupid, it's ridiculously, doesn't sound like it should work, but literally anytime I would do something that I believed was going to hurt me or had previously hurt me, and that's the programming, the conditioned response, like Pavlov's dog, I would literally just utter the words out loud if I was alone or to myself, I'm good. And then I would move, right? And just by doing that, inevitably, the pain from that movement or activity or sitting down or laying down or whatever, the pain from that, if I did this technique called I'm good, and then you go to move, it sometimes wouldn't be there, or sometimes would be lessened, right? Because if you sit there and go, oh boy, here I go, I've got to sit down, this is really gonna hurt, and then you kind of struggle and, oh boy, I'm sitting down, oh no, and then you sit there and you go, here, oh, this is hurting, this is hurt, oh, here comes the pain, oh, I better get up, I better lay on my back, right? You can see the difference in response that your body would have based on the instructions that you're giving your brain, which is, oh my God, this is really gonna hurt. What do you think your brain's gonna do? It's gonna say, all right, well, you're telling me it's gonna hurt, so here you go, here's some pain. And yes, it is kind of that simple. So if you tell yourself before you do anything that you believe hurts you, that you're conditioned to respond with pain or other symptoms, but when you do a certain thing, whatever mantra you want to have. I like the I'm good. I'm good. You know, I used to walk around singing the James Brown song, I feel good. I knew that I would. I feel, right? Okay, I'm sure some of you folks are cracking up right now, but I literally would walk around with that in my head because it sent a really strong message that I feel good, right? And yeah, I was kind of making believe because at the time I might have had some pain, but I was giving my brain instructions that it could do something with, as opposed to the fearful, resistant, hesitant, oh my God, I don't want to do this. I have to sit down on a bus and it's going to hurt. Oh man, I'm going to go sit down and, oh, here it comes, right? And the more we sit there focused and fearing that pain, the more it comes and the more it builds, and the longer we sit, the worse it gets. You know, that's the epitome of a conditioned response, because the brain basically delivers what we instruct it to. So try it. I'm good. And then make the move, right? And do it the fraction of a second before or as you're doing it. You know, I remember struggling towards the end of my long term of pain. I got real bad, and it was like a level 8 pain pretty much all the time. Chronic, go over a bump on the road, you know, a jolt of pain. If I would try to sit up, I would literally have to scoot to the edge of the couch and then, you know, kind of try to get my feet under me and kind of lift straight up, as opposed to just kind of throwing my torso forward to get that balance shift. And as I started to use this I'm good technique, it really started to help, because I would say I'm good, and then I would move, and then I would go to get up. And that was very, very useful for me. Same thing when I would get in and out of my my Jeep. I used to have many, many times where I would be trying to get in or get out of the Jeep, and I'd get that whammo right in the back. Oh, spasm. Oh, right? So I developed this conditioned response that I was going to get that every time I got in and out of the vehicle. And I would get the conditioned response that I'd have the leg pain radiating down, this thing they call sciatica in the medical terminology. But I just know it was TMS down my leg. And so I had that conditioned response. So that little technique, I'm good, try it, seriously. Anytime you're doing something that you believe is going to hurt you, try that. Conditioned response, Nocebo. One way to shift it is to repeatedly tell yourself that, hey, I can do this. And look, if you have one time where that I'm good technique kind of worked for you, and oh my God, that wasn't so bad, that's proof that it's TMS. That's proof that you can decondition this belief and this pattern in your brain that's sending the pain to you when you do this certain thing that you are conditioned to have pain or symptoms with. So, and that can be everything as simple as a certain move, or it can also be as a result of, oh no, last time it rained, I felt the pain a lot. And I'm not a scientist, I'm not a doctor. I don't know whether or not things like barometer and weather and humidity and those things can impact us biologically. Probably to a degree. But I would certainly say that once that happens once and you start to fear it and say, oh no, it's an overcast day, here comes the increase in pain, you have that nocebo. You're creating that conditioned response, and it really happens through an experience with an emotional charge like fear and wow, that was really bad. So keep these things in mind. If you have something that is fairly well conditioned, that always tends to bug you or hurt you when you do a certain thing, or when it rains, for example, remind yourself, I'm good, I got this, I'm good, I'm good. And if you like, go get the James Brown I Feel Good song and listen to it. It's a fantastic way to start your day. Literally, walk around as you're shuffling to the bathroom in pain. I feel good. I knew that I would. I feel nice. Right? Try it. And while you're doing that, you can't help but smile. Look at me, I'm cracking up. I'm cracking myself up. Partly because I know a bunch of you guys are going to watch this and laugh at me. So, I'm good. Try it. It will start to break that conditioning, and once you break that even just a little bit, you start to see the potential that, wow, this might really work. This may help me get over my conditioned response, or this nocebo where I believe sitting is bad or walking is bad, but I can run, and there seems to be no rhyme or reason for these conditioned responses, other than past experience that you reacted to emotionally, and now you are fearful of that movement or body position, and so you became conditioned. So I hope this helps. It's not a scientific definition. You know, again, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist, but that's my experience with conditioned response, and I think it can help you. So give it a shot. Right before you do something, just say, I'm good, or sing the song. You know, James Brown, I feel good, na, na, na. Right? You're going to crack yourself up. You're probably going to crack up anybody who's around you. And that's obviously a good thing. Like I said, look for the fun. You know, I just posted something today that said, you know, there's two people sitting next to each other, and one says, we only live once, and the other person says, wrong, we only die once, but we live every day. And so I'll challenge you to live more every day. Look for the joy, look for the meaning, look for the purpose. How can you bring joy and meaning and purpose to other people in your life, right? When we make a difference, we feel good about ourselves. And so it sure as heck beats sitting around wallowing in, I'll use the term lovingly, self-pity. And we've all been there. I did that for 13 years. Every time I was on the floor rolling in pain, I had a lot of self-pity. Why me? Why did this happen? What the hell? I'm doing this Sarno stuff. It's not working. What am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? And what I'm here to tell you is that when you learn to let go a little bit and lose the necessity to beat the pain right now, today, because we get really impatient, it tends to let go a little bit easier. Don't watch the calendar. Don't compare yourself to others. So-and-so got better already and I'm still struggling, so I must be doing something wrong. I'm an idiot. I can't do this. This isn't going to work for me. Hey, I'm good. Try that out. Try that on for size. So hopefully this helped. That's my take on the conditioned response. It came as a result of somebody messaging me saying, hey, I've got this conditioned response as a result of pain and overcast weather. And so the other thing I will say is notice, in the case of the rain and overcast weather, notice whether or not there is an emotional charge separate from the body and the pain. What's the emotional charge when it rains? You know, does that kind of stir up some childhood memories of wanting to go out and play on a Saturday and it's raining all day? I don't know. Just explore that. See whether or not, you know, you feel down on an overcast day because you kind of feel like it ruins your day. Well, you know, those are some things to consider. Anyway, I'm good. You're good. You're good. I pointed to the screen that I'm looking at, which is right at the camera lens. Anyway, you're good. I'm good. We're good. So decondition that response. You can do it. I did it. So many people did it. And it's a matter of deciding, I am good. I can do this. I can sit. No big deal. Anyway, I'm rambling again, repeating myself. So hopefully you found this helpful. Give me a thumbs up if you did. Comment below. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you have been able to decondition something like this already, and how did you go about doing it? The I'm good technique is just something that worked for me. I'd love to hear from others. Share what worked for you so some other people can benefit by it. So we will talk to you guys in the next video.